Successful co-parenting has a certain element of risk involved in it. The reason that most communication breaks down and co-parents have to utilize things like talking parents or some type of app or a third party in order to communicate effectively with one another, where the judges and lawyers and things can actually see the communication that's going down, is because of trust issues, right? One co-parent will say of the other that I don't trust him or her to do what they say, to show up on time when they say they're going to show up, to follow through with the things they're going to follow through, to go along with the court orders. And as a result of that, they just stop communicating. And they feel like no communication in this situation is the best choice. Well, no communication and no contact will reduce conflict because you're not interacting, but it's not really in the best interest of the child. Now, some of those trust issues may be warranted given past history. Like we know that past behavior is the best predictor of future actions. And so if someone's been very inconsistent in their parenting or follow through or not come through on promises, it's quite likely that that could happen again. But how will co-parenting ever be reestablished if we don't take some element of risk? So at some point, we have to come back from our polar positions into some level of risk to try to work with one another. So just pick an area. Maybe it's just a small area like getting homework done or coordinating drop-offs and pickups. Or maybe it has to do with some agreeable discipline practice or use of screens or just how we're going to coordinate the birthday party that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So some level of communication and risk taking has to happen. Make it small, make it so that it's the areas that we can, if there is some dropping of the ball, it's not going to be the end of the world and the child will not be negatively impacted dramatically by that situation because the other parent can pick it up. And then that will be addressed in communication in the future. And as we move forward, maybe there are certain guidelines or requirements or ground rules or needs that have to be stated in order to make those risks. But to not take a risk at all is going to be damaging to the co-parenting relationship. Most of the research on highly challenging, alienating, rejecting, conflictual parents is that parallel process or parallel parenting is really the best choice when true cooperative co-parenting is not possible. And you can actually have very happy, successful, healthy lives parenting differently and doing things differently at both houses. But in some element, there is still, even in that parallel parenting process, there's some element of a business relationship that occurs, or some connection that you have, obviously through the child with the other parent, and there's some areas you're going to have to communicate on. So trying to be objective and not so subjective and taking those risks are going to be important if we're going to reestablish any area of communication. So my recommendation is, one, try to find an area that's small and start there and try to rebuild that trust. And if you still don't trust the person, that's fine. But even in business relationships, sometimes you don't trust the other business partner, but you have to deal with them because they have some element that you need in the supply chain of stuff that's required for your business, right? So your child is your business, and it's a business that you have come into together. And so what I want you to do is to find some area where you can find common ground, some area we can find some success in, and then build on that and continue to increase in that. Maybe that will only go to a certain level because of the fact that you're just so diverse and different in your thoughts and processes and beliefs and values that you won't be able to get to a certain level. And that's fine. But do what you can. Try to also let go of the animosity and the anger of focusing on the past about the parent. I mean, obviously that's there, but have your own therapist. And don't let your children be the conveyor of your own moods, your own opinions about that parent. You may have a deep distrust of the other parent, but don't convey that through the children. And believe me, it's not just your words that they're looking at. They look at your actions as well. Kids are great at really picking up on the nuances of parents' thoughts and beliefs, and they know a whole lot more than you think that they know. So try to really, in that business demeanor, try not to convey negativity about the other parent. Even if the kids call you on it, accept the fact that yes, sometimes I have difficulty with your mom or your dad, but that's not something that needs to bother you. That's something that I have to deal with your mom or your dad. I want you to have a successful relationship with him or her. You have to continue, despite your own thoughts and feelings, try to encourage the children to have a positive relationship and connection. Now, I know there's a lot of exceptions, and you're thinking about all of them, and particularly maybe in your particular circumstance, and they're there. Safety, health reasons, choice of alcoholism and addictions, and other things that might really impede that relationship with children. But just keep in mind the hopefulness for the change, a hopefulness for the best interest of the children, and just a sense of trying to take some risks to try, in the benefit of your child, to try to make cooperative parenting at whatever level can be achieved. Thanks so much for taking this time.